Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something that I think a lot of people are interested in,
Hmm.
and that's personal development.
Absolutely.
And specifically, we are going to be looking at a YouTube video by Brian Tracy called The 7 Essential Pillars of Personal Development.
Okay.
We're not going to just like scratch the surface here. We're going to really go
Yeah.
deep
Yeah.
and pull out those golden nuggets that can really help people kind of level up their lives.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think what's really cool about Tracy's approach with this is that he gives us a very structured framework,
Yeah.
these 7 pillars, that can help you pinpoint not only your goals, but your starting point.
Right.
So it's like a personalized blueprint for growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome.
I love that. Okay, so let's jump right into the
so-
first pillar, which
yeah.
is personal skills.
Right.
Now, we've all heard about soft skills, being a good communicator and a problem solver,
Right.
all that good stuff.
But Tracy really emphasizes why those are so important for
It
success.
does. Yeah, it's interesting because we often think of these skills as like inherent traits
Well,
that
yeah.
people are just born with.
Mm-mm.
But Tracy argues that they can be learned and cultivated.
Oh, wow.
Like he uses this great example of a sales manager who was really struggling with people management. And by actively seeking feedback and taking communication courses, she transformed her weakness into a strength and ended up getting a promotion.
Wow.
It's a really great example of how much focusing on personal skills can really have a tangible impact on your career.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great example.
Yeah.
So in Tracy's approach to this, what really stands out to you about the personal skills?
I think what's fascinating is his emphasis on self-awareness.
Okay.
He argues that being able to identify your strengths and weaknesses is key.
Yes.
It's not just about amplifying what you're good at,
Right?
but also acknowledging those areas where you might need to improve.
Yeah. And I think this honesty with yourself is really what fuels real growth.
It's like that saying, you can't fix what you don't acknowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah. So for our listener out there, how can they put this into practice?
Well,
What's like one thing they could do today?
I would challenge them to think about a skill that they'd really like to master
Okay.
and then break it down into smaller steps.
Okay.
So for example, if it's public speaking, maybe they could join a Toastmasters group
Yeah.
or take an online course.
Right.
The key is to take action.
Yeah.
You have to translate the desire for improvement into actionable steps.
Love it. Okay, so let's move on to the second pillar,
Okay.
personal growth. Now, this one seems pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
We should all be striving to grow,
Right.
right? But Tracy digs a little deeper here.
He does. He emphasizes that personal growth is an ongoing process.
Okay.
It's not about reaching a specific destination, but rather it's this continuous journey of becoming a better version of yourself every day.
I love that.
Yeah, it's about embracing challenges as
Yeah.
opportunities for learning and really adopting a growth mindset.
Okay, so I love that idea of a growth mindset.
Yeah.
Can you kind of break that down a little bit more for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So, someone with a growth mindset, they view challenges and setbacks not as failures,
Yes.
but as valuable learning experiences.
Right.
They believe that their abilities can be developed through dedication and hard work. And this leads to a resilience and an eagerness to
Right.
kind of like step outside their comfort zone,
Yeah.
which are both so essential for personal growth.
It reminds me of Carol Dweck's work on mindset.
Yes.
She did all this research, and it showed that students who believed that their intelligence was fixed, they were less likely to kind of persevere through challenges
Right.
than those who believed that their abilities could grow.
Exactly. And it just shows how powerful our beliefs can be in shaping our actions and ultimately our outcomes.
Absolutely.
So, for our listeners out there,
Yeah.
the challenge today is to identify one small step they can take to step outside of their comfort zone.
Okay.
It could be anything.
Yeah.
Trying a new hobby or engaging in a difficult conversation or even just taking a different route to work.
Yeah.
It's about pushing those boundaries and embracing the learning that comes from new experiences.
I love it. Okay, so we've covered 2 pillars. Let's move on to the third one, which is personal power.
Okay.
Now, this one sounds intriguing.
It is.
So what does he mean by that?
So personal power for Tracy is about building a really strong foundation of support and resources.
Okay.
He talks about surrounding yourself with positive, goal-oriented individuals who uplift and inspire you.
Yeah.
It's like creating your own board of advisors.
I love that.
to offer guidance and encouragement along the way.
Yeah, it makes me think of that saying you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So, if you surround yourself with negativity, it's bound to rub off on you.
Exactly.
But if you're around people who are really driven and supportive, it can have a huge positive impact
Absolutely.
on your mindset.
Yeah.
All right.
And Tracy also stresses the importance of financial stability
Oh, okay.
as a key component of personal power.
Okay.
It's not just about like accumulating wealth,
Right.
but it's about that sense of security and freedom
Yeah.
that comes from having your finances in order.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, financial stress can be debilitating,
Absolutely.
and it can hold you back from doing so many things.
It can. And it's about having that peace of mind that allows you to take risks
Right.
and invest in yourself and pursue opportunities that might otherwise be out of reach.
Yeah, so for our listener, what would you suggest that they do?
So I would encourage them to reflect on their current support system.
Okay.
Who are the people in their lives who are genuinely supportive and encouraging?
Yeah.
And how can they nurture those relationships? And, maybe even seek out new connections
Right.
that will help them grow and thrive.
Yeah, I love that. So it's not just about who's in your circle, but being more intentional about cultivating those relationships
Exactly.
that bring you that energy.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. All right, let's move on to pillar number 4,
Okay.
which is personal improvement.
Yes.
Now, this one seems to be all about taking action.
It is. This is where the rubber meets the road.
Okay.
Tracy emphasizes the power of good work habits,
Okay.
discipline,
Okay.
and a proactive approach to life.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about the importance of thinking before you act,
Right.
setting clear priorities,
Okay.
considering the consequences of your choices.
Yeah.
It's about being intentional with your time and energy
Right.
and not letting yourself get swept away by distractions or impulsive decisions.
And he uses the example of, tackling the most important task first,
Yes,
even if it's not the most enjoyable.
exactly.
Wait.
It's a simple strategy, but it's so powerful
Yeah.
for maximizing productivity.
Absolutely. And this also ties in nicely with the concept of emotional intelligence,
Yeah.
which is being able to understand and manage your emotions and the emotions of others.
It's so crucial for making sound decisions,
Right.
maintaining healthy relationships,
Yes.
and just navigating challenging situations with grace and resilience.
It's about not letting your emotions hijack your actions,
Exactly.
but using them as information to inform your choices.
Yes.
Yeah. This resonates with me because I've definitely had those moments where I let my emotions kind of get the better of me,
Right.
and it never really leads to anything good.
It rarely does.
Yeah. So how can our listeners start to develop better emotional intelligence?
Well, it starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
Pay attention to your emotional triggers,
Mm-hmm.
how you typically react
Yeah.
to stress,
Yeah.
the patterns in your emotional responses. And, there's so many resources available, like
Yeah.
books and workshops, and even apps that can help you develop these emotional intelligence skills.
That's great. So there are tools to help us.
There are.
We don't have to just figure it out on our own.
Exactly. And even making small changes can make a big difference.
Right.
Maybe this week our listener could try replacing one unproductive habit
Huh?
with a more positive one.
Okay.
So instead of scrolling through social media before bed,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they could spend 15 minutes reading a book or listening to a podcast.
I love that.
Small shifts in our routines can really lead to significant improvements over time.
It makes me think of James Clear's book, Atomic Habits.
Yes,
He talks about that power of making those small changes
Right.
that compound over time.
exactly.
It's not about these big overnight transformations.
right. It's about
Ah,
consistency.
Yes.
It's consistent, sustainable progress.
Absolutely. Okay, so we are on a roll here.
Well, you are.
Let's move on to pillar number 5,
Okay.
personal empowerment.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think Tracy really dives into the power of creative thinking in this pillar.
Okay.
He encourages us to constantly challenge the status quo.
Mm-hmm.
Look for innovative solutions to problems.
Yeah.
Find faster, better, easier, and cheaper ways to do things.
I love that.
It's about embracing that mindset of continuous improvement
Right.
and not being afraid to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah. I love that idea of constantly challenging ourselves to think outside the box.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get stuck in those ruts
It is.
and do things the way we've always done them.
yes.
But, Tracy's reminding us to stay curious, to ask why, what if, and to see problems as opportunities for creative problem solving.
Absolutely. And, this kind of thinking leads to a sense of agency and self-efficacy, the belief that You have the power to make a difference and to create positive change
Yes.
in your life and in the world around you.
And that's so empowering
It is.
because it shifts your focus from feeling helpless or stuck to feeling capable
Yes,
and proactive.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm curious, have you ever had a situation where you had to apply this kind of creative problem solving
Oh, yeah. All the time.
to overcome a challenge?
I mean, especially in my line of work.
Yeah.
You know, things are always changing. You
Yeah.
have to be able to adapt and come up with new solutions.
Absolutely.
So, for our listener out there,
Yeah.
what area of their life could benefit from some out of the box thinking?
That's a great question.
Is there a challenge they've been avoiding because it seems too big or complex?
Right?
Maybe it's time to put on that creative thinking cap
Yes.
and see what they can come up with.
I love that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to get out of that box and see what's possible.
Absolutely. All right, so moving right along
Okay.
to pillar number 6.
Right.
This one's called personal analysis, and this one might seem a little intimidating at first.
It can be.
Yeah, because this is really about taking an honest look at yourself, warts and all.
Right.
And like it's that moment when you step on the scale after a big holiday meal
Whoa.
and you're just like bracing yourself.
Right. You're hoping for the best.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Tracy says you can't improve what you don't acknowledge.
Exactly. And it's not about being overly self-critical or anything like that.
Right.
It's about turning that critical eye inward, but doing it with a spirit of constructive feedback.
Okay.
The goal is to identify those areas where you really shine and those areas where there's room for growth.
This makes me think of those 360 reviews that some companies do,
Oh, yeah.
where you're getting feedback not just from your boss, but from your peers and the people you manage.
Yes, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
It's about gathering data from different perspectives
Yeah.
to get a more holistic picture of your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. So for our listener,
Yeah.
what would you say is the challenge here?
I think the challenge is twofold.
Okay.
First, what is one area where you genuinely excel? And second, what's one area where you'd like to see some improvement?
Okay. So it's not about bragging or beating yourself up.
No, not at all.
It's just being honest with yourself.
It's about honest self-assessment.
Yeah. And I think acknowledging a weakness is not a failure.
No, it's not. It's the first step towards growth.
It is. Okay. So we've made it to the final pillar.
We have.
This one is called personal objectives. And it seems like the natural culmination
It does.
of all the other pillars.
It really does.
Yeah.
Tracy is a huge believer in the power of goal setting.
Okay.
He compares it to having a roadmap that guides you toward your destination.
Right.
Without clear objectives, it's easy to feel lost or directionless in life.
It's like trying to navigate a new city without a GPS.
Exactly. You might stumble upon some interesting things,
Yeah.
but you're much more likely to just end up going in circles.
Right, exactly. So Tracy talks about the importance of breaking down those big goals
Us.
into smaller, more manageable steps.
Yes, it makes them seem much less overwhelming. And it increases your chances of success.
It's like that saying, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
Exactly.
Break it down, make it achievable.
And Tracy also emphasizes the importance of not just setting goals,
Okay.
but also tracking your progress.
Right.
And celebrating those small victories along the way.
Yes.
This helps maintain motivation and it builds momentum.
Yeah, I love that.
So for our listeners out there,
Yes.
I challenge you to set one specific, measurable goal
Okay.
for this coming week.
Okay.
Identify the steps you need to take to achieve it
Right.
and think about how you're going to track your progress.
Love it. So it's turning those aspirations into concrete plans.
Exactly.
So we have now covered all 7
We have.
Brian Tracy's pillars of personal development.
It's been quite a journey.
It has been. What are your final thoughts?
I think Tracy's 7 pillars
Yeah.
offer a really comprehensive and actionable roadmap for personal growth. And what's really insightful is how he emphasizes the interconnectedness of these pillars.
Okay.
They're not isolated concepts.
Yeah.
They work together
Right.
to create a holistic approach.
It's like building a house.
Exactly.
Each pillar is important
Yes.
for the overall strength and stability.
That's a great way to put
but
it.
the structure.
And just like building a house takes time, effort, and a commitment to quality,
Right.
so too does building a better you.
Yeah.
It's a continuous process
Yeah.
that requires patience, dedication,
Right.
and a willingness to learn and adapt along the way.
And the rewards are worth it.
They are.
You get a stronger sense of self. You improve your relationships. You have greater fulfillment in your work and life.
Absolutely.
So many benefits.
So many benefits.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yes.
I'd like to leave our listener with a final thought-provoking question.
So if you could choose just one of those killers to really hone in on over the next month, which one do you think would create the biggest positive impact
Yeah.
in your life, and why?
That's a really great question, and I think it really gets to the heart of this whole framework because they all contribute to a well-rounded life.
Right.
But focusing on one could kind of create this ripple effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, for example, if you're feeling held back by a lack of financial security,
Right.
mastering that personal power pillar, getting your finances in order,
Yeah.
could free you up to pursue other passions or even bolster your personal growth
Right.
by reducing stress.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe if you really nail personal analysis and
Yeah.
you really understand your strengths,
Yeah.
then your personal objectives become more focused,
Absolutely.
more likely to succeed because
Yeah.
they're really aligned with who you are.
Exactly. And the beauty of Tracy's system is that there's no right or wrong answer.
Right.
It's about honestly assessing where you are
Yeah.
right now and which pillar, if mastered, would unlock the most potential for you specifically.
It's almost like those choose your own adventure books we read as kids.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
You get to decide what path you're going to go down
Yeah.
based on your own unique goals and circumstances.
And remember, this is a lifelong journey.
Right.
There's no finish line for personal development.
It's ongoing.
It's about continuous learning, adapting,
Yeah.
striving to become the best version of yourself.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive
It has.
into Brian Tracy's 7 essential pillars of personal development.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone listening has walked away with some good takeaways
Yeah.
and a renewed sense of motivation to invest in their own growth.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
And remember, personal development isn't about becoming someone else.
Right.
It's about uncovering and nurturing the best version of yourself.
And who knows, maybe by mastering one pillar this month,
Yeah.
you'll be inspired to tackle another one next month and just keep building on that.
Absolutely. And create this
Yeah.
unshakable foundation
Yeah.
for a really fulfilling life.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive.
Oh, my pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And to everyone listening, keep diving deep,
Yes.
keep learning,
Keep learning.
and keep striving for that amazing potential within you.
Absolutely.